Gator Dave, how we doing?
Well, we've been better, Mike.
We've been
Another loss for my boys there in Gainesville last weekend. Um, Went down to the ugly Tigers and got beat. We got beat last weekend, Mike. We lost by 10, as Gator Dave predicted, by the way, and hit his parlay due to the Gators and the Bulldogs doing what they did. Lots of points in that game. But yeah, we'll see. It was ugly, man. It was ugly. Five interceptions, pretty sad. But we're looking forward to another week for We Are Bets Utopia, your number one location for all things sports betting. Please subscribe. Please like. Follow us. We'd love to see that on YouTube, and now we're on podcast, right? We got our podcast rolling on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all many others. So come see us there as well, or listen to us. So again, live shows Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. More time for those wagers starting on Thursdays when those games get rocking. So we're taking the show. We're not taking the show, Mike. We're taking us on the road. Are we not, Mike? We are headed to Hard Rock Stadium to watch our teams play against each other again. We did it last year in a swamp, and now we're headed to Hard Rock. We got Gator Dave, we got Miami Mike, we got Kaylee, we got Nirvana, we got Ian, and we're headed to Blue Lot to tailgate and hit us up there if anybody's down there. No Mike, no me. Hit us up. Come see us. Looking forward to it, Mike. Maybe. What do you think?
I think it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have some Brazilian kebabs that we're gonna be grilling up. You got your little monster box, so we got a portable TV that we'll have. It's gonna be a good time. Night
We're
game in Hard Rock. It's gonna be rocking. Energy should be amazing. So really looking forward to it. And yeah, should be a good time. I went ahead and
should
threw
be
up the recap graphic from last week. I went 7-5. Gator Dave went 6-6. So we're still looking for a better week, but not as bad as it could have been by any stretch of the imagination. And something I
improving.
want to point out, yeah, yeah, improving for sure. And something that's different about us compared to these other shows too. You'll notice for our podcast people, we keep a graphic, a running record throughout the year of where we stand. Nobody else does that. We also give you 12 games plus the bonus four for the podcast, 16 total games that we talk about. Nobody else does that. So, like Gator Dave said, number one spot here for all things sports betting, Bets Utopia. Real quick, I wanted to also shout out before we get into our first game tonight, Shop CYA. Check them out up top here. They're our sponsor, shopcya.com. I know we'll be bringing one of these when we go to Hard Rock Stadium this weekend. You need a clear plastic bag when you go into these stadiums nowadays. Has all your keys, credit cards, everything in it. When you go in there, everybody can see what you got going on. So this system allows you to just snap it on, and it covers it up both sides. So when you're walking around in the stadium, nobody can see your stuff. You are completely protected. Your assets are covered. Make sure to check them out. Up top there, shopcya.com. Tell them we sent you.
That's
Shout
it.
out to
That's
Evelyn in the
it.
chat. What's up, E? All right, first game here, Gator Dave. Let's get cracking. I let you pick the order this week, and man, is it a little bit all over the place. So there's a lot of suspense here, folks. It could go any way. I kind of like what you did here, because we usually stack the better games towards the end. You have no idea. Best game could be the second one we talk about. No clue.
M-
No
Maybe
clue.
not the second, maybe third
Maybe
or
not the
fourth.
second.
But all right, we're gonna start in the group of fives though. We are starting there for the first game. We've got North Texas. They are favored by 2.5. Our friends at Army over under 50.5. So the Mean Green this year coming around, they're 3-0 already, with a big win over Washington State, somewhat big boy team. Used to be anyhow, no longer in the Power Power 5/4. But they did. The Mean Green beat Washington State 59-10 last week. So they outgained Wazoo 410 to 275. They were 50% on third downs. Key stat: Wazoo turned the ball over not once, not twice, but 5 times in the game. 2 fumbles lost and 3 interceptions. You're never going to win that way. Ask DJ Lagway. All right. So, Mean Green QB Drew Messamaker was 24 of 29 for 211, 4 TDs. Top rusher McGill had 67 yards. On the year, Messamaker is 70%, 764, 9 TDs, and McGill's got 170 and 3 TDs. So Army comes in the game. They've only played twice. They lost to a lowly Tarleton State last in their first game, 30-27 in an overtime, but they beat Kansas State Wildcats. Mike, I'm gonna have to call them lowly as well. They beat them 24-21 at K-State in their last game. So what's going on with Army? We got up, we got down. We got some interesting stuff going on. They got an off week to prepare in this game. In the K-State game, Army had 332 yards to K-State's 246. They held K-State to 2 of 9 on third downs, as well as only 46 yards of rushing, Mike. Damn. Of course, that's the way Army rolls, man. They control the clock, 40 minutes to K-State's 20 minutes. So, interesting scenario. Army lost its starting quarterback in the last game, so they got number 2 coming in. The 2 quarterbacks, I don't know if there's a lot of difference between the 2 of them. I mean, you look at them, they're both around 50 to 60% completion rates. Helms has 160 yards of rushing. Coleman has 100. They're going to start Helms because Coleman's out, so that's kind of where this thing's going to go. We know Army's going to milk the clock, right? We know they're going to run the ball. That's the way they roll. They don't throw the ball. North Texas can and will try to throw the ball, but I think in this game, Mike, one thing to point out last year, Mike, it was Army winning 14-3. We got 50 points here to play with. So, Mike, give me the under 50.5 in this one, sir.
I like that play, Dave. I'm gonna go with North Texas on the money line, but I do like the underplay here. You know how I like these Army teams, these military squads. We tend to play the under in them because, like you said, they tend to control the pace of play and most of the time possession in the game. Unless they get down early and they got to kind of play catch up, they just eat away at that clock with the option that they tend to run. For me, North Texas's defense is what's going to make the difference in this one. I think they're going to be ready for Army. I think that they'll be able to sustain, like you said, they're using their backup quarterback. They already were, they're missing a quarterback from last year who was a massive chunk of their offense who was gone, and they kind of had to make up for that. They were able to sneak away a win last week. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that this week against this North Texas team who's going to be looking for revenge from last year. So give me North Texas on the money line here, Dave.
Mike, I think it's a good play. That's where I would have gone next. So we need to give a shout out to our friend Novoski is in the house. So give us a shout out if you guys are there. Thank you for being on Novoski. So next game, another group of 6, they're calling them now, that they've got that other group out there. So we got Southern Miss, used to be Grambling, at La Tech. La Tech is Louisiana Tech, minus 2.5 points, over under 51.5. So the Golden Eagles are 2-1. They're only lost to in-state Mississippi State. Last week they beat App State. I nailed that one. In that game, the Eagles had 389 yards to App State's 470. So they got beat on yardage. The Mountaineers only had 95 yards on the ground. Kind of interesting. So Golden Eagles QB Braxton was 22 of 30, 279 and 2 TDs and interception. Pittman rushed for 39 yards. So Braxton on the year is 69%, 692, 7 TDs, couple interceptions. Not bad for a Southern Miss quarterback that used to be at. It's not Grambling, it's Marshall. That's what it is. This is Marshall Jr., quarterback, half the team, and the coach. So Braxton also has rushed for 105. Pittman's rushed for 126. So La Tech comes in 2-1 on the year. Loss against LSU, close game, 23-7 for a group of 16. Win last week at New Mexico State, 49-14. In that game, La Tech had 575 yards to 309 for the Aggies. The Bulldogs helped those Aggies with only 28 yards of rushing. New Mexico State turned the ball over 3 times, La Tech once. So Blake Baker, the La Tech quarterback, was 8 of 16, 182. He also ran for 103. So we got a running quarterback here. So Baker on the years, he's only 46%, not too hot, 228, 2 TDs. They got another quarterback, Trey Kukik, 70%, 224, 2 TDs. So quarterback is kind of the question, who's going to play for the Bulldogs. Both teams coming to the game, basically same record. La Tech might be in a little bit better spot. The Bulldogs are stronger on both sides of the ball. Could be a difference. But something leads me, and I'm not sure why, but my gut tells me Southern Miss is going to pull this one out. All the soothsayers are saying La Tech and those couple of points, but my gut tells me Southern Miss is going to stay on a roll and a trajectory to win this game. So give me Mississippi State and Southern Miss and those 2.5 points.
Yeah, and Dave, something in you's telling you to do this, right? I feel like this. You remember Army last year for me? It was just it's just something, that just keeps calling your name. I think you've had Southern Miss on each. Have you picked them each week now? Is this 3 weeks in a row that you've had Southern Miss?
I might have, and it was kind of like Iowa last year in the under.
There you go. Oh, hey, if it ain't broke, you know what I mean. So I'm with you. I'm on that side too. Give me Southern Miss, for the same reason that you were talking about, quarterback controversy. So this guy you mentioned, Kukuk. 70% completion percentage, right? But only 227 yards on 29 completions. So very conservative, hasn't been throwing the ball too far down the field. Only 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. His backup, Baker, you mentioned, he's got 11 completions for damn near the same amount of yardage, 204. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So that's why they went with Baker, because he's more of a big-time threat, I think, in terms of moving the ball down the field. Like you mentioned, he can run it a little bit. Only 47% completion on 23 throws. Not great. Also, they benched Kukuk Clock. They benched him after the LSU game.
It's
Louisiana
LSU.
Tech. What are we doing? What do you expect? What'd you expect them to do? And in that game, by the way, let me give you their stat. They only lost 23-7.
Yeah.
Against LSU at LSU.
Yeah.
And he went 12 for 18. Well, okay, that's fair. 50 yards. That ain't gonna get it done. Kukuk. But I'm with you. So yeah, give me Southern Miss plus 3.5. Let's go.
I like it. Hey, shout out to Linda, thanks for coming. Next up, we've got Arkansas at Memphis. So we're up there in Gator Dave's stomping ground, his home turf. So we got Arkansas is favored by 7.5 points at my Memphis Tigers, over under 62.5. So shout out to all my Tiger friends and family out there. So we got Razorbacks rolling in Memphis 2-1. Lost a close one last week to the Ole Miss Rebels, who didn't freaking cover again, 41-35. Their other wins over Arkansas State and Alabama A&M, those powerhouses. Hogs were 75% on third downs last week, which not too bad. They outgained the Rebels 526 to 481. So it was a battle royale out there at Ole Miss. So the difference was a fumble loss by Arkansas could have made the difference in that particular game. So Taylor Green was 22 of 35, 305 leading rusher as well. 14 carries, 115 yards. So he is the offense for the Razorbacks. On the year, he's 68%, 866, 11 TDs, 2 interceptions, rushed for 307 and 2 TDs. He's one of the top quarterbacks in terms of numbers right now in the SEC, which is pretty damn amazing. Tigers come in 3-0, wins over Chattanooga, Georgia State, and a tough Troy team last week, 28-7. In that game, Tigers had 430 yards of offense to Troy's only 112 yards of offense. So Tigers are packing the defense this year. I remember in the old days, that's all we could do because we couldn't get good offensive players when I was there years ago. Quarterback Brendan Lewis, transfer in, was 17-27, 213 and a TD. Running back Sutton Smith had 113 yards and 2 TDs. On the year, Lewis is 73.3%, 608, 2 TDs. And they got 2 running backs, Smith and Lewis, 247 and 190 yards respectively. So pretty good in the backfield there. But the defense is only giving up 321 on average per game. Arkansas obviously rolls on the offensive side of the ball. Memphis doesn't tackle well, but they've done well on defense, which is kind of odd. And Arkansas does struggle to defend the run. But I am looking here for my Tigers, maybe not to win the game, but 7.5 points here. So I think that it could be right around 7. I think it's going to happen at the end of the game. It's going to be one of those that takes me back to the old days when I used to go to those games. It'll be an exciting game, and I think it happens at the end, and maybe, Arkansas wins by 3 or 7, but that's it. So give me the Tigers plus 7.5 here, Mike.
Yeah, so this one I was actually on Arkansas initially. I mean, Arkansas is having a great year. Don't let their record fool you, or that game last week against Ole Miss. I mean, they got some dogs on that Arkansas team, and they should have won that game last week. They just kind of gave it away. So, unfortunately for the Razorbacks, next week they have to play Notre Dame at home. So this is a classic sandwich trap game, call it what you want. They're coming off a game of Ole Miss. We're right there, so close to having that, that key win to kind of jumpstart their season. Now they got to travel to Memphis. If they win, whoop-de-doo, you beat Memphis. If they lose, the sky is falling. And then next week you have Notre Dame, who's 0-2 already on the season, so they're coming into that game basically do or die, going to give you everything they got. So for me, this is a classic look-ahead spot. I was on Arkansas initially, minus the 6.5, but now that it's jumped up to 8.5, I'm all over Memphis. Give me the Tigers. Couple quick notes for you here. The Memphis Tigers are 10-3 against the spread in their last 13 games as a home dog. Dave just got a calling from Christ, it looks like, based off of his stream there. So this is a good sign for those who are believers. Also, the head coach himself is 6-2 as a home underdog against the spread. I'm going to take the signs that were just in front of me for our viewers who are watching. I know you saw it too. Podcast people, you might want to check it out. Give me the Memphis Tigers plus 8.5 and maybe a little sprinkle on the money line based off of blessings from above. Okay?
GTG, Mike. GTG. Go Tigers, go, baby.
I didn't know where you were going with that to begin with, to be real with you. But I like it. That's clever.
You had to grow up there, right? So shout out to my lovely wife, Nirvana, giving us the go dogs there. So, all right. Go Tigers, baby. All right. And I'm liking the 8.5 better than the 7.5, even a little extra. All right. Next game, Mike. This is one of the big ones. So, and something just dawned on me, Miguel. So, does anybody know where College Game Day is going to be this weekend? They're going to be at Hard Rock at our game. They're not going to be at Michigan, Nebraska. They're not going to be at Oklahoma, Auburn. They're not going to be at Texas Tech, Utah. They're not going to be at Illinois, Indiana. They're going to be in South Florida watching.
To watch the Gators get their ass kicked. Yeah.
True that.
And just for the record, game day is on the campus of
are
of the
they
university.
now? So yeah, because
they're on the campus.
We won't go into all that. We won't talk about the stadium thing, Mike. But okay, on campus.
Well, the issue, you can't open the gates. Can't open the gates at 5 a.m. over there at Hard Rock.
At Hard Rock, yeah. Okay, all right. So, just thought I'd throw that one out there. That one just came to me, Mike. It hit me. All right, next game, the Michigan Wolverines are headed to Nebraska, and right now Michigan is favored by 2.5 at Nebraska. Over under 46.5. So Wolverines come to the game 2-1. They're one loss to Oklahoma by 11. Last week they beat Central Michigan 63-3. In that game, Michigan had 625 yards of offense, 142 for Central Michigan. Only 60 yards of passing, 82 yards of on the ground. So freshman Bryce Underwood, the number one recruit in the class from last year, 16-25, 235 and a TD and an interception. He was also the leading rusher, 9 carries and 114 yards and 2 TDs. So they've kind of cut him loose in terms of the running game. Justice Haynes, the transfer from Alabama, had 104 yards and a TD as well. On the year, Underwood only 58%, but he's literally a freaking 18-year-old. 628, 2 TDs and interception, and rushed for 108 and 2 touchdowns. Haynes has 388, averaging 8 yards a carry, Mike, and 5 TDs. Cornhuskers come into the game undefeated, 3-0, with wins over the mighty Akron Zips and Houston Christian and Cincinnati. Their game last week against Houston Christian was 59-7. In that game, they had 554 yards of offense, held Houston Christian to 160. Raiola had 222 and 2 TDs. I really don't want to get into that too much. On the year, Raiola is 77% as a sophomore, 829, 8 TDs, no interceptions, which is good for him. Emmett Johns, their running back, has 326 yards and 4 TDs. Pretty good. Wolverines, they've had a ton of takeaways. One of the best teams right now in their first 3 games. Running games looks solid for sure. Defense is looking amazing, only allowing 2.6 yards a carry. Underwood, he's not doing too bad. I mean, rough go, obviously going down to Oklahoma. The good thing about this game, it's not his first game going on the road to a hostile environment like he did at Oklahoma. So now he's got some experience and he can go out there in Nebraska and feel a little bit better about it. I think he's going to get things moving. I think the Nebraska secondary is going to be an issue. Mike, give me the Wolverines in the money line here to go into Nebraska and make it happen.
Yeah, this one's tough. This is going to be one of those games where kind of throw out everything if he can't perform under the lights, right? So this is, well, you mentioned this is his second big road start. Nebraska's going to be rocking. They're going to be ready for him. 3:30 kickoff, so that somewhat helps if you're a believer in the superstitions of the night games and whatnot. Which in college football I wholeheartedly are. I think it makes a big difference if it's a night game or not for the home team for sure. Feels a little bit more hostile, but I think this is a defensive matchup. The more you talked about it, the more I think I'm leaning towards the under in this one. I picked Nebraska plus 2.5 because I do not think that Bryce Underwood is ready yet. I just don't think that he's there. This is one of those games that I think is going to be low scoring. But from what I've seen in his play so far, he's had flashes of what is to come. But he's got super accuracy issues. He needs to put a little bit more touch on the football. He zips it a little bit too much when situations don't call for it. The running back and the running game is pretty much holding Michigan afloat right now. And I think as long as Nebraska is able to slow that down in terms of trying to bottle up Jamal Haynes, I mean, I think if they hold him under 100 yards, Nebraska should win this game. They're one of the best secondaries in the country. They're only allowing 52 yards per game passing right now. Granted, that's against Akron, Houston Baptist. But week 1 against Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby, I mean, they held him to 60 yards passing as well. So the thing also that I looked at besides the yardage point of view was the completion percentage. And all those quarterbacks struggled percentage-wise, which tells me two things. They're getting pressure on the quarterback, forcing bad throws, and the secondary is staying on their receivers. So 2 of those things line up. I'm going with the home team. I think it's going to be too much for Bryce Underwood initially in this first one. Both of these teams, something of note, they both have a bye week next week. So also kind of a look ahead there. Some numbers for you. Michigan's head coach, with the loss earlier this year to Oklahoma on the road, he is now just 1-4 in away games as the head coach. The only win he has in a road game was last year at Ohio State. For Matt Rule, that's a pretty big one. But for Matt Rule on the flip side, he has struggled against top 25 teams. He is just 2-22 straight up versus top 25 teams in his career as a head coach. He is 0-6 as a Nebraska head coach versus top 25 teams. Michigan is sitting at number 21. So this is a big game for Matt Rule. Big game for recruiting in the Big Ten. Big game for his legacy moving forward with Nebraska. Kind of feels like one that he needs to win. And for that reason, it kind of feels like one he should win. So I'm going to go with what I think is the better coach. Give me Nebraska plus the 2.5. But I do also love, I think, that under. I think the under is also potentially live here.
All right. Like it, Mike. Like it. All right. Next up, we are headed over to the ACC. We have NC State at Duke. They're favored by 3, over under 58.5. So NC State comes in 3-0 with a win last week over Wake Forest to our chagrin. They've been a bit surprising.
Hold on. That game was a joke. That game was a joke. NC State got gifted that game. All right, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of this weekend. We didn't even talk about Georgia. Novoski, Evelyn, your lovely wife, my lovely mother, all of y'all. We didn't even talk about Georgia. All right. When does it stop? When does it stop, Dave? what sort of deal did they
No one
do?
likes Florida either. So,
Oh, who gives a
we
shit
get
about
no
Florida? We're talking about
we get
Georgia
no
right now.
help.
All right.
We get no help.
But I mean, think about the games that they've barely snuck by. The year they won the championship against Ohio State. Ohio State had it locked up. They missed that field goal. Georgia wins the game. Last year, 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. Somehow win that game when they were down, what, 2-3 possessions? And then now it's wild. Wild. I don't think I'll do it again. I don't think I'll granted, I won that bet because it was plus 3.5. So, I got that one for the show. But oh my goodness gracious, I just there's something about it. It's wild, wild stuff.
Crazy,
Wild
crazy,
stuff.
crazy.
Sorry. I just you sparked the PTSD in me with that Wake Forest game because it started early last week. It was atrocious.
All right, we shall continue as we go here. So Wolfpack against Wake Forest. Wolfpack had 406 yardage to 311 yards of offense for Wake Forest. They held Wake to 59 yards on the ground. They had 2 interceptions, heavy on penalties, 10 for 94 yards. Bailey was 23 of 32, 201, 3 TDs. Hollywood Smothers, he's going to be a name we're going to be talking about all year. That kid's good. 24 carries, 164. Damn. I know it was Wake Forest because they're going to be Wake Forest, but that kid's badass. Bailey on the year, 71%. And Mike loves CJ Bailey, by the way. We know that. So 71%, 719, 5 TDs, an interception, 84 yards on the ground. Hollywood, 63 carries, 380 yards, averaging 6 yards a carry with 3 TDs. So Blue Devils come in at 1-2, and Mike's loving every minute of it. They lost last week to Tulane, 34-27. Duke actually outgained Tulane, 313 to 270. Pretty low yardage for both, actually. Both each had 1 turnover. Both were heavily penalized, 90 and 100 yards each. Mensa in his homecoming, he was going back to Tulane. He was 30 of 51 for 313 yards and 3 TDs and an interception. Now, one thing I looked at was his yards per catch, Mike. It was barely 6. So he's just dumping stuff off. Just an FYI. Shepard, running back, had 75 yards. Mensa, 67% on the year. 1,000 yards, 8 TDs, 2 interceptions. Shepard's at 127 on yards. So they're all about throwing. This one should be pretty interesting game, obviously. Wolfpack's giving, kind of been giving their fans a little bit of a heart attack, in the last 3 games because you're like, damn, I can't believe they're 3-0 with all that's gone on because you're like, holy hell. But they are 3-0 at this point. Duke, they couldn't solve the Tulane issue. They got behind, they played sloppy. They had a lot of penalties. Duke on defense, Duke gave up 5 of 13 on third down, surrendered 246 yards. I just don't think they have it. And I think NC State is making progress as they move along. So I think this one's not sure why it's -3. Maybe you can tell us, Mike, for Duke, but give me the Wolfpack and I'll take those 3 points.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily know why it's at. It's actually at 3.5 also for you. So, but no, I don't really understand it either. Duke, typically something along the lines, a rule of thumb is the home team gets, 3 points, generally speaking, just off of the basis of them being a home team. So the problem with that is Duke has 15,000 people in their stadium. So it's not a huge home field advantage, as well as, it's not that far of a distance between these two schools. I don't know. I was teetering back and forth. I was actually on the over to begin with, but man, for the reasons that you mentioned, I might be going with the under. The problem for me is this NC State secondary. You talked about the last game and some secondary potential issues here. NC State's secondary is atrocious, and they give up big plays. They can't stay on their guy. This is a big bounce back spot for Darian Mensah, who, like you mentioned, threw the ball 50 times last week against his former team. They went down early. They tried to come back. They almost made it. They just kind of ran out of time. Um, Duke's sitting at 1-2 right now. NC State, like you mentioned, is barely. I mean, they're 3-0, but they could easily be
Could be
0-3. I mean,
Yeah.
they've like it's been insane the games that they've been playing, but that tells me that they know how to win a close game as well. Oh man, um, I'm gonna stick with my over. It's gross because I'm kind of leaning the under now after we kind of broke it down a little bit further. I'm gonna stick with it for the purpose of the show. But this one's gross. I don't think I'm too encouraged to do anything with this one at all. But give me the over 57 and a half. Give me like a 31-28. What do we think about that?
So there are the some of the pundits are agreeing with you, Mike. So just so you know,
Ah,
I did a little reading, and I have next to this game maybe the over. So there you go,
I
buddy.
love
I
that.
think you might be
Uh,
okay.
quick note here as well for all my Manny Diaz fans out there. He is just 1-5 as a home favorite against the spread since taking over Duke. 1-5 for old Manny Diaz.
Oh, that's why you went over. All right. Next game to my friends in Oklahoma. We going Oklahoma at Auburn. So Oklahoma is favored right now, 6.5 at Auburn. Over under is 48.5. Sooners come into this game 3-0, ranked 11th in the land. Last week they beat a feisty Temple team 42-3. Previously they beat Michigan 24-13. Last week they had 515 in yardage. Temple only had 105 and only 27 of that on the ground. So Mateer was 20 of 34, 282 and a TD and an interception. Blaylock, the running back, had 100 yards, 2 TDs. On the year, Mateer is 68, 944, 5 TDs, 3 interceptions. And has run for 161 yards and has now moved up into the top 3 for the Heisman. Just so you know, Blaylock's had 166 yards and 3 TDs. So the Tigers come in 3-0 as well, with a big win over South Alabama, 31-15. They didn't cover. In that game, the Tigers they only outgained South Alabama 337-310. Jaguars actually had more passing yards, 170-142. What hurt South Alabama was 2 turnovers, or it could have been a lot closer than 31-15. Auburn did rush for 195 yards because we know Jackson Arnold, that's all he does. So Jackson Arnold on a year has 500 yards of passing, 69% 4 TDs, rushed for 192 and 4 TDs. Cobb, the running back, 314 and 4 TDs. So Jackson Arnold's thrown 0 interceptions in 8 consecutive games. It's the longest streak in FBS headed into week 4. So that's rather interesting. And we know Jackson Arnold is going back to the team that dumped him. And well, he's not going back. His team is coming to Auburn, but Arnold played for Oklahoma last year and got the boot. Heading into week 4, Mateer ranks 7th among FBS players with 944 yards of passing. Auburn's lost each of its last 8 road games against AP ranked teams. Mike lost 8. Nothing changes here. Give me the Sooners to cover the 6.5. I think it's a safe, 7 bet. this might be one that I log in for sure. I feel pretty good about this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going against the whole former QB going back to his team after that Darian Mensa blow up last week. Can't do it. So I'm with you. Give me Oklahoma minus the 6.5. They are not going to be kind to Jackson Arnold when he's coming back there. Obviously, he's going to be playing with motivation to get it done. Emotions will be running high, and I think because of that, I don't think Jackson Arnold is the type of quarterback currently, anyway, that he's going to be able to handle that composure. I think he makes some mistakes because of the emotions. He forces some throws that he does get the opportunity to do. He'll maybe run the football, get a little careless, trying to get some extra yardage, maybe fumble it. So I'm with you. I think Oklahoma gets it done at home here. Couple of quick notes. Um, Ole Miss head coach Hugh Freeze against top 25 opponents at Ole Miss. He's just 1-8 straight up against top 25. He is 4-4 against the spread as an away dog at Ole Miss, and 20-10 against the spread as an away dog in his career. On the flip side, Oklahoma head coach Brent Venables. Oklahoma is 15-4 at home under head coach Brent Venables. They are just 6-8 on the road. So completely different team when they're playing in Norman. This game is being played in Norman. Oklahoma on the flip side, also against top 25 opponents. Brent Venables has them 4-5 and 11-5 against the spread as a home favorite. So give me Boomer Sooner. Shout out to Glenn, my girlfriend's Faja. Go Sooners in this one.
Boomer Sooner. All right. I like
Boomer
it. I
Sooner.
like it. I like it. I like it. All my old friends out there in Oklahoma. All right, next game. We're gonna stay in the halfway in the Big 12. We got Arizona State at Baylor. So Baylor's favored by 2.5 here, over under 60.5. Arizona State is 2-1, lost at Mississippi State, and then won last week against Texas State, 34-15. Sun Devils 433 to 303 on offense against a group of 6 team. Texas State had 2 turnovers, didn't help them much. Levitt for Sun Devils 15-25, 188, ran for 59. The running back Brown had 144 yards of rushing, pretty good. On the year, Sam Levitt is only 58%, Mike. So he was one of those. He's on the disappointing quarterbacks list right now. Only 58%, 527, 5 TDs, 3 interceptions. Has run for 157. Brown's got 292 and 2 TDs. So Baylor comes in 2-1. Their loss was against Auburn. Wins over SMU and Samford last week. The whipping team, 42-7 in that game. They outgained Samford 478 to 195. Bears turned the ball over a couple of times with interceptions. That was Baylor had 2 interceptions, and the Bulldogs had 4 interceptions. So it was an ugly game. Right now, Sawyer Robinson has over 1,000 yards, 62%, 10 TDs, 2 interceptions. Running back Washington, 304, 66 carries, 4 TDs, looking pretty good. I feel pretty good in this game, I guess, in terms of the Bears. Arizona State's hasn't played really up to where they're supposed to be, and neither is Levitt. So, Mike, I'm going to take Baylor and the money line here. I feel pretty good about this one, especially since they're home.
Yeah, I may be making a mistake because I'm having again flashbacks to week 1 when I took Baylor, or when I took Auburn rather over, or no, I took Baylor and Auburn got the dub. And that's why I'm going to go Arizona State here, Dave. I'm not going to fall for it twice. Fool me once, shame on you, Baylor. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. So I can't do it, Dave. Give me Arizona State plus 2.5. Baylor's defense is supposed to be their sort of claim to fame with Dave Aranda, and they have not looked too great. As well as their offense, they can really only throw the football. Sawyer Robertson is an absolute great quarterback, but I think Arizona State will have a game plan for him. Arizona State's averaging over 230 on the ground. Baylor's giving up over almost 190 on the ground right now and 30 points a game. So I think this one's close. I'm going to go ahead and go with Arizona State. You're right, though. Sam Leavitt, his quarterback play, been a little shaky. He's one of those guys that I think is trying to do too much because he's missing, obviously, a huge chunk of his offense and Scattaboo, who, went to the NFL. So I think some of those plays, he's just trying to do a little bit too much and play hero ball. I don't trust Baylor. I don't trust Baylor at all. So give me Arizona State. Baylor was my pick to win the Big 12, to be fair, at the beginning of this year. So I'd love to see Baylor win this game and carry that momentum on through. I don't know. I'm not a Bayliever yet. Hey.
Ooh, I like it.
I
like it.
You like that?
Yeah.
You like that? It's pretty good, right?
I like it. All right, Bayleavers. So speaking of picks for the Big 12, next game, Texas Tech at Utah, Mike. So Utah is favored by 3 in this game. Tech, Tech comes in the game, the high-powered offense, 3-0. Last week they beat Oregon State 45-14. An old used to be Power 5, no longer Power 5, lost coaches and everything. So in that game, Tech had 500 yards of offense, like the old days. Beavers only had 284, so the defense is looking pretty good for Texas Tech now. Texas Tech was 60% on third downs, Oregon State 42%. Weird stat of the game. Typical old Big 12. Texas Tech had loaded up on the yardage. We talked about that earlier, and Beavers couldn't run the ball. Both teams had 2 interceptions. Tech was penalized 10 times for 80 yards. So Morton for Tech was 23 of 35, 464, an interception. Dickey, the running back, only 77 yards of rushing. They're all about throwing the ball down the field, we know. On the year, Morton's got over 900 yards, 70%, 11 TDs. Utah comes in the game 3-0 with a win last week over Wyoming, 31-6. Utes had 541 in yards. Wyoming had 229. Utes were 60% on third downs, and Wyoming only 25%. Utah did have 10 penalties for 100 yards. So Devin Dampier, our guy from New Mexico, came in. He was 27 of 41 for 230 and 2 TDs, rushed for 86. So he's looking good. Running back Parker, 80 yards. So Dampier on the year, 73%, 628, 7 TDs. He's run for 200 yards and a TD. They've got 2 backs that have 200 yards each. Texas Tech and Utah have covered the spread in all 3 of their games thus this year. Their games have also each, in 2 of the 3 games, gone over. Both these teams come in undefeated, ranked in the top 25. The Utes running attack is huge right now, and I think Dampier does a good job dropping the ball in there. Texas Tech's going to be all about throwing the ball down the field, but Utah's going to try to control the ball and time of possession as they move through. This one I've teetered back and forth, but Mike, I am going to go with the team that I picked to win the Big 12, and that would be Utah. And I'm going to go Utah. And are we doing money line or are we doing 3 here? What are we doing?
I'll give you money line if you want it.
All right, I'd love to have money line, Mike. So that's where we are.
You got it. Yeah, and I see why ultimately why you would go with Utah, right? They got the more experienced coach. He's been with Utah forever. He's got 90 plus wins at home at Utah. Um, I'm I'm gonna go Texas Tech. I'm going Texas Tech plus the 3.
As well.
Give me the head to head. I like the quarterback Morton. He's got almost 1,000 yards already through 3 games, 11 touchdowns, 70% completion. I think they're going to be able to get it done. I like their running backs too. They got a couple guys over 200 yards. For me, their wide receivers are also they go for a little bit more bigger plays. Something that I look for is the explosiveness, right? And most of these wide receivers, based off their numbers, are averaging about 15 yards per catch. Whereas on the Utah side, you got maybe one or two guys that are going to kind of spread the ball down the field. Dampier has good numbers, but I believe he has less than 70 completions and he has less than 700 yards total passing. So to me, a lot of check downs, a lot of, maybe first reads. If Texas Tech is able to apply some pressure on him, I think they could shake it up a little bit. Big thing that I'm worried about here in this game, it is Texas Tech's first road game of the year. So you're going to look to see how they react there. It's also an early kickoff. So, potentially some issues there. Um, Something to consider. Texas Tech, for example, under Joey McGuire, just 6-10 when they're on the road. They're 4-7 versus top 25 opponents. So I don't know. So I do like this Texas Tech team. I had them going pretty far when we talked about them in the preview show. They spent a lot of money. That's why I was doing this when you were talking. They spent a lot of oil money this year and wrote a lot of blank checks to a lot of guys to kind of build this roster up to compete now. This is one of those games that if you want to come, be playing in January in those playoff games, you got to win this one. You got to beat the top 25 opponent that's in your conference. You got to shake it up. So for me, give me Texas Tech. Do I love it? No. Do I think it's going to be a great game that, we'll be watching before during tailgating? Yeah, absolutely. So give me the Red Raiders to go in and shock Utah. I do kind of tend the under here also. I kind of tend to the under here.
So the game starts at 10 a.m. local time. Just
Whew.
so you know, 10 a.m. local at Utah. That was another, and I didn't put that in my notes, but that was another reason why I said, yeah, I think I maybe
10
take the home
a.m.
team because
10 a.m.
10
local
10
time for
a.m.
kickoff is
Hey, dude,
crazy. Can you imagine that?
it's the
Oh my
Fox.
goodness.
It's the big noon. What do they call it? Big noon Fox game. And
Oh,
and
that's what
and
it
it's
is. That's their pick
yeah,
this
and it's
year,
gonna be
or this
there
week. Oh
at
my
10
gosh.
a.m. I'm like, what the heck?
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's well. I mean, there goes a little bit of that home field advantage, if you know what I'm saying. So a
yeah,
little less rowdy in those stands at 10
yeah.
a.m. when
True
they're
that.
still
True
eating
that.
their chicken biscuits to start the day. So
Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
shout
give me the
out
Red
to
Raiders.
Spread Cover. And by the way, we're going to talk about Indiana and Illinois, and you'll like what I got to say here in a minute. And Devontae Durr is on and in the house as well. So, all
How
right.
about them Knowles?
Uh, yeah, we'll talk.
Looking
Yeah, we're
good
not
right
going to.
now. Top 10.
Yep,
Top
yep,
10.
that's right. That's right. Got a long way to go, though. So, all right. So, we're going to go to the Big Ten, and we're going to talk Iowa. That exciting powerhouse is favored by 2.5 at Rutgers. And I'm going to finish this, and I'm not going to believe what I'm going to say at the end of this. So, over under is 45.5. Iowa is 2-1. Lost 16-13 at Iowa State. Last week they beat UMass 47-7. Mike, they scored 47 points, 435 yards of offense to UMass's 119. Rather interesting. Neither team had a turnover and only 2 penalties in the game. So the Hawkeye QB Gronowski was 16 of 24 for 179, Mike, and 2 TDs. Woo! And McNeil and Patterson, the running backs, had 50 yards each. So Gronowski on the year, the new star coming from the Dakotas, he's 59% for a blazing 306 yards. Yeah, and that's after 3 games, Mike. 3 TDs in 3 games. Running backs Williams and Patterson, almost 200 yards each. The Scarlet Knights come in 3-0 to this point. Wins over Ohio and not the Ohio. And wins over Miami of Ohio and Norfolk State 60-10 last week. 563 yards against Norfolk State's 220. Quarterback Kalamanis, 73% on the year, 820 yards, 7 TDs. Running back Raymond, 43 carries, 248, and 5 TDs. So Iowa comes in the game 2-1 against the spread this year in their games, and they've all gone under 2 of 3 games. Rutgers is 2-1 against the spread, and all 3 of their games have gone over. Iowa and Rutgers, it's just going to be a bad offensive game here, Mike. It's just going to be ugly. Kalamanis, he's looked pretty good compared to Gronowski. But Iowa's defense, they're going to be good. I just don't think the Hawkeyes are going to be scoring enough points. And I hate to say it, Mike, but
Don't do
give
it.
me Rutgers plus
Don't
2.5, Mike. I'm going to do it, Mike. I'm doing it. Mike. I've never played Rutgers to win. But I'm going to do it this one time just as an experiment.
Well, it might be the last time, Dave. Rutgers is 0-4 all-time versus Iowa. They've been shut out twice. They've been outscored in those 4 games 93-17, and the last 3 of 4 have gone under the total. That's where I'm going to go. You mentioned the offenses. They're going to struggle. Give me the under 45.5. Give me the defensive head coaches in a battle. I think Iowa gets it done. I think Iowa money line is also a live play there. But yeah, give me the under. It's going to be an atrocious game. This is one that I do not want to watch, but I will because it's Friday night football.
Oh, it is Friday. Wow. So we got to watch it. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, next game for our friend spread cover. We've got Illinois at Indiana. Indiana is favored by 4.5, and spread cover is like, why in the hell is Indiana favored? Over under 52.5. So Illinois comes in the game ranked 9th, 3-0, a whipping on Duke by 26, wins over the Westerns, Mike, a couple of Western teams. Last week is Western Michigan, 38-0. In that game, Illinois only had 350 yards of offense. They didn't tear it up. Western had 204, no turnovers. They were 58% on third downs. Quarterback Altmaier was 17-26, 196, 2 TDs, nothing to really write home to mom about. Running back Fagan had 100 yards on 20 carries. On the year, Altmaier is got 789, 72%, 8 TDs. Fagan and Valentine have 222 and 158 yards respectively, and 5 TDs between the two. So Hoosiers come into game 3-0, ranked 19th in the nation, wins over some easy competition, with the exception of Old Dominion, who we can't call easy competition anymore because they got a decent team. They only won by 13. Last week they beat Indiana State by 73-0, 680 yards in the game. So Mendoza is on the year. Quarterback for Indiana is 72%, 708, 9 TDs. They got 3 running backs that have run for 200 yards each. But again, it's against shit competition. Illinois does a great job creating turnovers and has a pretty tough defense. And I think that's going to come into play here. They also don't have a lot of penalties. They've got good special teams play. I think the defensive pressure is going to be the key here. So, with that said, I'll take Illinois plus 4.5. Indiana could win by 3, and I'm going to make it happen with plus 4.5, Mike. But I could easily see Illinois in the money line, but I'll take the point, sir.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give you an extra plus 1.5 because when we did the graphics, it was 6. So before that line moved, you'll get a plus 6 here.
Nice.
And I'm gonna jump on them with you for the same reasons. I think Illinois is the better team overall in this one. Yes, Indiana has put up good numbers, but they haven't played anybody. A lot of feel-good football been going on in Bloomington, Indiana. Now they're going to play their first real team with size in the trenches. They're going to hit them in the mouth a little bit. I think Indiana, while they are favored, there's reasons they are. Let me just say that. Some of the reasons here, Indiana has actually covered the last 5 straight versus Illinois in this matchup. Last 2 games between these teams have both been decided by just 3 points. And I think actually both of them may have gone to overtime. No, just in 2023. Last time they played went to OT. But both games decided by just 3 points. Indiana under Kurt Signetti, the head coach, they are 7-1 against the spread as a home favorite. But he is just 0-2 straight up against top 25 opponents. So while they are good against weaker opponents, like we talked about who they've played so far this year, when it comes to the bright lights, not so much. On the flip side, you got Brett Bielema and this Illinois team. He's built to win as an underdog and cover as an underdog. As an away dog, the Fighting Illini under Brett Bielema are 12-4 against the spread. Bielema in his career is 27-17 against the spread. I think this is one that Indiana gets. I think they win this one. I think plus 4.5 is, a safe one here. But I think you're right. I think Indiana has a very good chance to win this one. And we were both very high on Indiana, too. I had Indiana winning 10 games this year. So this is one, and also potentially making the playoffs. So I think they handle Indiana pretty good. A lot of good stories coming from that Indiana side. They got the brothers at QB, the Mendoza brothers, transferred from Cal, and then the other transfer came in, his younger brother. I think all that. It's a lot of feel good stuff going on right now.
Kumbaya, baby. Kumbaya.
This is their reality check. Could see this even being like a 31-6 type of game. I think it's going to be ugly. So Miami Mike, lock of the week. Gator Dave, I'm doing it. This week is ugly too. It's hard for me to do. This week is atrocious, but I'm gonna take one when I got it.
All right, I like it. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna really truly bet on this week, but it's my highlighting is not a lot in green. So all right, so next game we are headed to back to the Big 12 and ACC. We've got used to be all Big 12. We have SMU at TCU. TCU favored by 7. Over under 64.5. So TCU comes in the game 2-0. They've only played 2 games. Wins over North Carolina and Abilene Christian last week, 42-21. In that game, rather interesting. 489 yards to 453. They were 9-11 on third downs, 1-1 on fourth downs. Josh Hoover, 21-27, 337, 4 TDs. No rushing attack at all. Hoover on the year, 76%, 621, 6 TDs, and an interception. Their leading rusher is Barnes at 156. So SMU comes in 2-1 with wins over Cupcakes and a loss to home at Baylor 48-45 in double OT. Last week they beat the fantastic Missouri State team only 28-10 at Missouri State. Mustangs 448 yardage to 328 for Missouri State. On the year, Kevin Jennings, 70%, 836, 6 TDs, 3 interceptions. Running back Harden, 42 carries for 253. TCU's defense, It's probably the better of the two. Mike, last year, you know what the score of the game was last year, Mike? It was 42-66. Mike, the over-under is 64 here, Mike. Give me Gator Dave lock. Over 64.5. Lock it in, baby.
A lot of points, but I totally see why you'd be on that. Um, I'm going to go with TCU minus the 7 here. I'm not sold on SMU. I think that magic might have run out a little bit. Kevin Jennings, you mentioned it, he's got a couple turnovers. They were down last week at Missouri State 10-0 in that game, I believe, at the end of the first quarter. They were able to bounce back and ultimately get the win, in a potential look ahead spot for the same reason that, we're on Memphis. Same sort of situation with Arkansas. SMU played Baylor the week prior. They're playing at TCU now in a big rivalry matchup. Kind of a look ahead spot in that Missouri State game, and they almost got caught. But they don't look like the same team that they did last year. Defense doesn't look the same. They got a couple playmakers still on offense, but not nearly what they did last year. Kevin Jennings, I think, is getting caught trying to do a little bit too much at times. Give me TCU minus the 6.5 in the battle for the Iron Skillet, Gator Dave. That's what these teams play for. This is the 104th time that they have played. SMU since 1999 is just 5-19 against TCU. And you mentioned last year they hammered them. TCU's head coach, Sonny Dykes, former SMU head coach, he actually got ejected from that game last year. So he's going to want to get back in this one. Give me TCU at home. I'm not sold on this SMU team this year. If they get it done in this game, I'll be back believing. They'll be going into a bye week, and then they start conference play at 4-0 if they can get it done, or 3-1 rather. But yeah, give me TCU. Give me the Horned Frogs.
All right. I couldn't decide. That's where we're going over. And when I saw last year's total, I'm like, shit, I'm really over. Really over. I mean, it was only 108 points in last year's game. All right. Our last official game, we've got Tulane at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is getting 11.5 points, over under 61.5. Green Wave, the Tulane Green Wave coming to the game 3-0. Wins over Northwestern, South Alabama, and Duke at home last week. Now they got to travel to Oxford to face the Rebels and the Lane Train, who haven't covered the last 2 weeks. In their game against returning quarterback Mensa, they actually outgained them 452 to 426. We talked the other side earlier. Both teams had a turnover. Mensa for Duke, like I said, he just seemed to dink and dunk. Now we got Jake Rasliff for Tulane, the ex BYU quarterback. He was 15-23, 245, ran for 11 yards and 4 TDs. He's kind of their 111 yards. He's kind of their entire offense right now, Mike. On the year, he's 59% passing, 522, 2 TDs. Through the air, 7.2 yards per carry, 288, 6 TDs on the ground. They got a couple of guys, Gordon and Mobley, who've had 100 yards each on the year in terms of rushing. So that, Resliff's he's all of their offense right now. The Rebels 3-0 wins against Georgia State, Kentucky, and Arkansas last weekend in that shootout, 41-35. They're averaging giving up 29 points per game, Mike. So their defense is not where it's been in the past. Arkansas had 528 to Ole Miss 475. Ole Miss played their backup quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss. who was 21 of 29, 353, 62 yards on the ground. He's a transfer from Division II Ferris State, where he threw for over 3,000 yards last year. And so, I mean, Lane's offense is just, it's crazy. And this kid did that to Arkansas. I'm told Austin Simmons is going to be back for the game. He's 60%, 580, 4 TDs, and he's had some interceptions. He's had 4 interceptions. Lacey, the running back, 290 and 5 TDs. Obviously, they've both been pretty high-scoring offenses so far. Ole Miss, Ole Miss playing at home. There's an advantage there, but their defense is still, I think, going to struggle. So, Mike, I'm going to say in this particular game, I'm going to have to go the over 61.5 in this particular game. I think it's going to be a big shootout down there in Mississippi. Oh,
Yeah,
and shout out to Public House, my boy. So, yes.
And Devontae, if we hadn't already. Shout out to you, Devontae. Appreciate you, brother, for hopping in the chat. Yeah, so I don't know. I've talked about it a few times tonight in some of these situational spots. For me, this is another one for Ole Miss. You look at this Tulane team coming in. They had a big win last week, kind of sticking it to their old quarterback who left Tulane for greener grass, per se. And, they got a blessing in disguise with Retzlaff, who's come in and just absolutely torn it up for them. True dual threat on the ground. I mean, he's been lighting it up. But on the flip side, you have this Ole Miss squad under Lane Kiffin. They're making up for a lot of offense that was lost last year to the draft. Part of that mainly being at quarterback. You mentioned Austin Simmons and Chambliss, the backup, stepping up last week. Yes, they did step up, but Arkansas lost that game. I don't think Ole Miss won it. I think Arkansas really kind of gave that one away to them. And for that reason, I'm going to be on Tulane in the first half, Gator Dave, plus 6.5 for the first half. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on for the whole game, but I do think they could catch this Ole Miss team napping a little bit. Ole Miss they're coming off that game last week against Arkansas, barely getting by, very emotional win, backup quarterback, all that. They found a way to get it done. Now they play lowly Tulane at home, and next week they have rival LSU, who's top 5 in the country. So classic look-ahead spot here for Ole Miss against a team in Tulane that, oh, by the way, in their last 14 games against SEC opponents are 0-14. And against Mississippi, they struggle just as much. So for me, I do think Tulane has a chance at covering. John Sumrall, their head coach, he is a great head coach when it comes to covering. He's 7-2 as a dog against the spread, 5-2 of that as an away dog, and 15-3 against the spread in away games in general, favorite or dog. 15-3 against the spread in away games. That's pretty unheard of, to be honest with you. I think Tulane is going to have enough motivation based off of that win last week against Duke to come in here and believe that they can compete with Ole Miss. I think they could catch them slipping in the first half a little bit, kind of similar to what Missouri State was able to do and giving that scare to that team that we were just talking about. Give me Tulane plus 6.5 in the first half. It's ugly, but I think they can find a way to get that cover, maybe even be leading at halftime. Gator Dave. That is our 12, sir. So let me...
I like it. That is our magnificent dozen there, Mike.
Yep. So let me throw up our recap, and then we're actually going to hit you guys with a bonus game on the YouTube channel tonight. We're going to talk the Miami-Florida game shortly because we have to. And then we will sign off the YouTube and go do our bonus 3 podcast games for all our podcast listeners. But real quick, running through the recap here on your screen. A lot of head-to-heads this week, Dave. A lot of potential movement at the end of this weekend. Only 4 that we are on together. So could be a pretty interesting week here.
I like it.
So running through real quick, you got the under in North Texas Army. I got North Texas money line. We're both on Southern Miss. We're both on Memphis. I got Nebraska. You got Michigan. I'm on the over in the NC State Duke game. You got the Wolf Pack. I got Boomer Sooner, and you do as well. I'm on the Sun Devils against the Baylor Bears. You like Baylor to get it done at home. Utah is where you stand. I'm with Texas Tech +3. I got the under in the Iowa Rutgers game. You got Rutgers +2.5 to perform history in that game, Gator Dave. And then we're both on Illinois +6. I got TCU -7. You like the over in that one. And I got Tulane first half +6.5. And you like the over in that Tulane Ole Miss game as well. Now, Gator Dave, the time has come.
To talk?
We must talk.
Do we really have
talk.
to, Mike? Do we really have
we
to, Mike?
must talk. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Look at that number 4 down there on that graphic. Look how good that looks. Where'd yours go? Where'd your ranking go? What's going on here? I thought, what even Notre Dame, who hasn't won a game this year, Dave, even they're ranked. Where's your ranking? Florida State's ranked in the top 10. What's going on, man?
Oh man, it's Billy Slingbait Napier's just not getting it done, Mike. So Florida heads down to Miami. Miami's getting 7.5. 50.5 is the over under. I mean, just like I said last week. I mean, I told you last week we'd lose by 10. We lost by 10. This is an easy one. I am officially, Mike, putting the highlight in green as this goes to the top of my list because I'm not going to call it a Gator Day block, but there's no way in hell that we're going to win this game, and there's no way that Miami's not going to cover the 7.5. So I think there's no doubt about it. I mean, our defense looks pretty good, but Miami's great on the line. I mean, it's going to be one of those games where you got the Florida players playing against Florida players. Hopefully, it will be somewhat competitive. But as I told you at the beginning of the year, when you were so concerned about Carson Beck, I told you not to be worried about him, and I believe that you took my advice and made some changes in your mind about your team and thought that they would do better, because I told you Beck's issue was his receivers and what else was going on around there. So I think Beck will do a good job, and I think that I don't think Lagway is going to throw 5 damn interceptions. But Billy will find a way to make a couple of faux pas. Now, your coach is not, he's not, I wouldn't say there's a wall around him in terms of making a mistake or two. So we could get one from your guy too, but I don't think it's going to matter and change the outcome of the game. So I'm going to say Miami is going to win this game by 10 points.
I think you're wrong. I think this game is going to be closer than you think. And because usually when you go into a rivalry game thinking, oh, yeah, this one's a wrap, we're going to win by X amount of points, it's usually the game that you barely squeak by or you lose outright. And the Florida Gators are playing with house money right now. If they win, that's awesome. Nobody expected them to do it. Everybody will somewhat get off Billy Napier's back for at least a couple of days. Till
next week.
And exactly. But, if you lose, nobody expected you to win anyway. It's the top 5 team. You just got dismantled by them last year in your home stadium. You're going down there now. It's a tough 4-game stretch that they're running through. This is just the middle of the gauntlet. So to me, it's a win-win situation almost for the Gators in this trip. Whereas on the flip side for Miami, they got all the pressure in the world. They have to maintain this, and if they're able to get by the Gators in this game, you look at Miami's schedule for the rest of the year, they could easily run the table if they get past them here. So, a lot of pressure on this Miami team in this one. The biggest thing for me is our defense. Our defense has looked great this year, night and day in terms of what we had last year. And our offense looks like they haven't skipped a beat. We lost Cam Ward, #1 overall pick in the draft last year. But Carson Beck, shout out to my dog fans in the chat. Appreciate you sending him on over and, throwing away. One man's trash is another man's treasure. And, man, has he been